Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight in and setting a really focused tone as we embark on a fascinating exploration into the absolute most complex machine on Earth, the human brain. We're going to unpack the exact mechanics of anxiety and, more importantly, uncover the science-backed strategies for building lasting mental resilience. To kick things off, listen to this incredible thought from Psychology Today. Anxiety is the price we pay for an ability to imagine the future. I mean, really think about that for a second. Our absolute deepest worries and the physical stress that comes with them actually stem from our unique evolutionary capacity for imagination. We are literally the only animals capable of projecting ourselves mentally into a negative future outcome. It's a gift, for sure, but as we're about to see, it can sometimes feel like a total curse.
Section 1. The Brain's Fear Network. Understanding Anxiety.
All right, let's look under the hood. We've got to make a very clear biological distinction right out of the gate here. Fear and anxiety, they are not the same thing. Fear is an immediate survival mechanism. It's your body's split-second response to a direct, present threat right in front of you, like jumping out of the way of a speeding car. Anxiety, on the other hand, is a prolonged state of negative expectation. It's your brain responding to a possible, imagined threat that hasn't even happened yet. Now, global neuroscientific consensus points to a specific cluster of structures working together in there, often called the fear network. And sitting right at the dead center of this network is the amygdala, which is actually roughly the size and shape of an almond. Think of this little almond-shaped structure as your brain's central emotional processor and ultimate alarm system. It's constantly scanning your environment, analyzing every sensory input, and asking one very simple question: am I in danger?
So the crucial point is, what happens when that alarm actually sounds? Well, the rational, logical, decision-making part of your brain is your prefrontal cortex. But when the amygdala perceives a threat, even a totally imagined one, it sends out a massive distress signal that essentially short-circuits that prefrontal cortex. It just floods the system with excitatory neurotransmitters, effectively overpowering your rational thought and basically bullying your brain into a state of hypervigilance.
Section 2. Anatomy of a panic attack. The physical response. If you have ever experienced this, let's validate it right now. It is absolutely not just in your head. A panic attack is an overwhelming, very real biological cascade. Your hypothalamus has activated the sympathetic nervous system, just dumping adrenaline into your bloodstream. Your heart rate skyrockets to pump blood fast, you're gasping for oxygen, your muscles lock up, you might feel chest pain, a choking sensation, or a profound, overwhelming dread of dying. It is an extreme physical readiness for a threat that simply isn't there. But why does the alarm blare when there's no actual tiger chasing you? It all comes down to a process called interoception. This is where your brain, specifically a region called the insula, monitors your internal body signals. In a panic attack, the fear network basically misinterprets totally harmless signals, things like a slightly elevated heart rate from drinking too much coffee or just standing up too fast. It reads them as a life-threatening danger, instantly triggering that massive fight-or-flight response. But here is the absolute biological truth that you need to hold on to: 5 to 20. Look, while a panic attack feels like a literal eternity when you're trapped inside one, that massive rush of adrenaline peaks incredibly quickly. Typically, those intense physical symptoms will completely resolve within 5 to 20 minutes as your body's chemistry naturally begins to balance itself back out. Section 3. Short-circuiting the panic. Biological actions. Okay, knowing the biology is great, but what do you actually do in the exact moment a panic attack strikes? We have to take control of our sensory input. The 5-4-3-2-1 technique is a real game changer here. By purposefully naming 5 things you can see, 4 you can physically feel, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste, you are forcing your brain away from those intrusive, terrifying thoughts. You're literally yanking the steering wheel back to the present physical moment. Another highly effective method is box breathing. This directly slows the heart rate and recenters the nervous system. Let's actually trace the box together right now. Inhale deep through your nose for 4 seconds, hold that breath for 4 seconds, slowly exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds, and hold for another 4 seconds before repeating. Just 30 seconds of this rhythmic cycle literally signals to your brain that you are safe. Because a panic attack floods your body with stress chemicals demanding action, sometimes you just literally need to move to process them. If you feel the intense urge to run or fight, do it. Do some jumping jacks, jog in place, put on a playlist and dance around. If you feel totally frozen, start small. Wiggle your toes, feel your feet flat on the floor, gently rub your earlobes. You've got to discharge that adrenaline. Section 4. guiding others through fear.
What if it's not you, but someone you love? When their prefrontal cortex is completely hijacked, you have to step in and be their logic and calm. First, get them to a quiet place to drop that sensory overload. Second, keep your sentences incredibly short and simple. The brain literally cannot process complex info right now. Third, be completely predictable, no sudden movements. And fourth, help them focus by breathing with them or having them mirror a simple physical task.
And hey, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this section, memorize this exact phrase to say to them, what you are feeling is scary, but it's not dangerous. This specific wording is incredibly powerful. It completely validates their overwhelming terror while simultaneously throwing a lifeline to their logical brain so it can start regaining control from that hijacked fear network. Section 5, Lifestyle Habits for Resilience. Zooming back out, the American Psychiatric Association highlights these core lifestyle pillars that actively complement therapy. Physical activity, especially aerobic exercise, fundamentally reduces anxious symptoms. A diet rich in whole foods, making sure you aren't deficient in stress-regulating nutrients like magnesium. Restorative sleep with a solid routine. And please, prioritize social connections, because lacking a support system physically worsens our baseline stress response. But it's also about what we cut out, right? We've got to stop unnecessarily putting our nervous systems into a state of artificial arousal. The research is super clear. Keep caffeine under 400 milligrams daily, that's roughly 4 cups of coffee, and actively minimize excessive smartphone screen time. Too much scrolling is directly linked to worsened sleep and massive spikes in perceived stress. We can also engage in specific daily practices that physically change our brain structure. Spending just 10 measly minutes in green spaces measurably improves physiological markers of well-being. And mindfulness practices like yoga and meditation, they literally alter the brain regions involved in emotion regulation. They physically lower cortisol levels and reduce resting blood pressure. And let's not forget the absolute power of positive physical contact. Cuddling with a loved one, or just spending a few minutes petting a dog or cat, naturally forces your body to release oxytocin. This hormone is heavily linked to positive moods, and it naturally lowers both your heart rate and blood pressure. It is nature's beautiful, biological counterweight to stress. So that brings us to the end of our explainer. Your brain is this magnificent, constantly evolving machine. Its default setting is to stay hypervigilant to protect you. But through sensory grounding, lifestyle shifts, and actually understanding your own biology, you absolutely have the power to rewire those circuits. So I leave you with this. Your brain is wired to protect you. How will you teach it that you are finally safe? Thanks for exploring this with me, and keep learning.